You're listening to the Big Cast, your source for the latest in financial technology. Brought to you weekly by the Best Innovation Group, with your hosts, John Best and Glenn Sarvati.
Welcome to another edition of the Big Cast. My name is Glenn Sarvati on behalf of the Best Innovation Group, where we like to do cool things with financial technology, and we like to watch it bleed into the general mass audience awareness as well. And I'll get back to explaining what we're talking about there in just a second. We've got a couple of interviews for you today, one with our friends at Tech. We talked about pre-gaming before, the idea of getting prepared for what's already been a conference season that kicked off, at least from my perspective, at the beginning of September with the Finovate conference in New York City. We got several more coming up. We'll be speaking with Jenny Jackson and Nick Evans to preview the Venture Tech conference coming up in early November. And I'm going to leave the other one as a bit of a mystery for now, because it's kind of a fun little story that wound up getting us into a somewhat unconventional fintech conversation as well. Remind you first, you can always find out more about the Best Innovation Group by checking out our website, big-fintech.com. You can also join us live on our CU Town Hall. The next one will be taking place on Wednesday, October 15th. That's 3 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific. We don't have a topic yet, which are usually my favorite ones because it's kind of a round robin, unless something really major happens or something strikes our Grand Poobah John Best's fancy. You know what? Now that I say that, it would not surprise me if we talk about quantum computing this coming week, at least for part of the time, and I'll explain why that's the case in just a second. Free to attend, but you do need to register in advance. If you go to cutownhall.com, you can request an invitation and a Zoom link to join us. You can also find past episodes at that website as well. Again, that's October 15th in the CU Town Hall. Speaking of quantum and quantum computing, we just wrapped up. I got a chance to see the entire Best Innovation Group team up in upstate New York just a couple weeks ago. A great conversation, not even a couple weeks ago, it was less than a week ago, at the Innovation Club. And I thought we had a particularly robust conversation over the course of 2 days this time, including a really great session with one of the cloud computing engineers from IBM talking about quantum computing. And as luck would have it, he said, okay, well, we've got a new announcement coming out, and if you give me a little bit of extra time on day 2, I'll finally be able to talk about it. So we really dug into quantum computing and its implications for financial services on day 1. And then, in my mind, we really got a much better view of putting it into the here and now about how this can actually affect the world and daily operations. An announcement mainly put out by HSBC Bank in alliance with IBM, who are providing the quantum computing. HSBC announced that for the first time, they have basically executed a proof of concept using historical data with algorithmic bond trading. Using that data, they have basically proven that they would have a 34% improvement in predicting whether their bond trades could be filled at a given price, which obviously means they can actually execute more of the transactions for their clients as they want to. It's interesting stuff, and it really shows that we're a lot closer to making some serious everyday benefits out of this in the very near term. I'm going to post a link. There was a 3-minute video that was put out on this topic, as well as a press release. You can take a look at that in our show notes. I also thought it was really interesting. IBM is making available a free sliver of time in the sandbox to play with quantum, to get familiar with it. I believe it's 10 minutes of free time per month. Not 100% clear to me exactly how far that will get you, but it's an interesting offer. This is a little bit like AI. You ought to be playing with it to at least understand what you may be facing in the future. So we'll post some links to those. Another thing that kind of caught me off guard that I was having conversations about a couple of weeks ago on a Sunday, I never saw one myself, but I started getting multiple texts from friends, some of whom are in the fintech space and some aren't, that just happen to know that I'm a geek and pay attention to this stuff. And they said, hey, did you see that commercial for Paze? Paze being the digital wallet that's a sister company, as I think of it at least, of Zelle, under joint ownership of Early Warning, which is also in turn owned by the largest banks in the country. Clearly, they're getting further along in terms of their promotional push, particularly coming up now on the holiday season. And I guess it was primarily on games that were not in my local market, but they were hitting the the airwaves fairly hard with the advertisements, and I'm assuming that's going to continue. And then, just by as luck would have it, I caught wind a couple days later of Pays partnering with my hometown NBA team. So they've started to hit the NFL. Now they're looking at the NBA, clearly looking at, I'm guessing, trying to reach a male audience to some extent in the sporting world. So I followed up with that a little bit, and it led me to this conversation. This is not exactly one of my usual interviews. I'm here with Andrew Salzman, who is the president of business enterprises for the Atlanta Hawks of the NBA, and maybe somebody who's a little bit more of someone you'd expect to hear on this podcast. Serge Elkiner, the general manager of Pays. Thanks for taking the time to talk. I wanted to catch you guys because I'm seeing more on TV about Pays lately from a promotional standpoint, and then this news that suddenly Pays is going to be the logo sponsor on the patch of the jersey of the Atlanta Hawks this year. I was like, wow, my worlds are colliding. I found that one really fascinating. Andrew, why don't I start with you? I'm kind of curious, how does something like this come about? How did you guys pair up? Did it come through the NBA? Did you guys reach out to each other?
Yeah, Glenn, thanks so much. I really appreciate having me on and the opportunity to discuss this partnership, which is really special. And it is a true partnership when you talk about a brand literally and figuratively sewn into the fabric of your team. Yes.
Yeah.
The NBA is an amazing organization. 30 teams work as partners. And when we had the idea and we were out there looking for the right partner for our jersey patch, it really came a few different ways from the NBA ecosystem as well as from an agency partner in the space. And really, once we had that first initial meeting, which was late July, this thing went really quickly because it just felt so good from the outset, such an alignment of values. And the more we got to know Serge and his team, and I think more hopefully Serge got to know our team as well, both off the court as well as on the court, it just continued to feel better and better as we went through the process.
You know, it's funny too. I realize you're not the first from kind of the payments and fintech space to get involved in the patch game. I know I very closely associate, and this shows the visibility of the patches. And I associate Rakuten now with the Golden State Warriors because I've seen the patch. I know PayPal's on the Phoenix Suns. I don't know if this is still the case for this coming year, but I'm just based on my history from before. Chime is on the Dallas Mavericks. And I think there's 3 different teams that have Robinhood, which I thought was pretty interesting. But Serge, I'm curious from your standpoint, when Pays thought about this, anything particular about Atlanta and the Hawks that seemed to be a perfect fit?
Yeah, certainly. Well, first, thank you again, Glenn, for having me here on the show. It's a pleasure to be here and to share the stage with Andrew. This partnership is already like super exciting, and as Andrew said, we really have an amazing fit between Pays and the Atlanta Hawks, both on the court and off the court, and how Pays can bring the fan experience to another level in the State Farm Arena. Atlanta is a core financial service hub. So as we discussed, right, has been growing since the last few decades into that financial hub. So for us, Atlanta as the place to be to have Pays awareness grow is very important, or was very important. So that's why doing this deal with the Hawks is really a good point in time for the juncture of where Pays is. As you mentioned, you're starting to see Pays more and more on TV and in your merchants, where you can use Pays as the online secure checkout option brought to you by your banks, right? So I think that's where Atlanta makes sense. That's where, when we looked at what can we do in sports, how we can we get the word out, how can we bring something that's fast, that's secure, that's trustworthy, like basketball, NBA, and the Hawks certainly represents all of these things that Pays prides itself to be as an online guest checkout.
And I know, Andrew, it occurred to me then, I mean, this doesn't necessarily relate to Pays, but from a kind of a tech forward standpoint, State Farm Arena is fully cashless as well, correct?
Fully cashless. We've really leaned heavily into the fan experience and frictionless. In the old days in sports, we'd like to say you sold hope or success. We believe we've created the third leg of the stool, which is experience. And if fans come into a game, and let's not forget, State Farm Arena is the third busiest building in North America in the concert space. So we have over 100 non-Hawks ticketed events. We're busy with ticket events over 150 times a year with all these different people coming into State Farm Arena. So the opportunity that Pays is going to be fully integrated in this experience was really tremendous for us. And it just, again, it felt so good from the beginning. And I think we're just so excited about what the future is going to be. And the security is such an important component as we continue to learn more and more about what Serge and the team at Early Warning are trying to do with Pays. So we're really excited about it.
In terms of the way that connectivity happens, probably more of a question for you, Serge. I know that Fanatics is one of kind of the high profile clients that's already on board as a merchant for Pays. And I know Fanatics has a long-term relationship with the NBA running the online store. So obviously that piece comes together. Any other thoughts about where Pays and the Hawks may work together in terms of the seamless experience?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Fanatics is certainly one of our high-profile merchants. So we bring that secure, trusted checkout experience to their online shopping on their website. So that's the first step in that journey of the fan experience. And right now, thanks to the announcement of this partnership with the Hogs, we'll be able to work into more activation, more education for fans, for entrepreneurs, for small businesses that are part of the community in Atlanta, and certainly more to come on how you can use Space as you journey as a fan through the State Farm Arena.
It feels like this is kind of the beginning of a kind of an end of year, maybe heading into holiday season marketing blitz. I had several people contact me over the course of the last week who saw Pays commercials during NFL games this past week. I know I saw the Pays logo behind the goalposts at a Minnesota Vikings game. So I take it this is obviously NBA season's kicking off late October. This is kind of the beginning of a broader exercise.
Yeah, I mean, certainly for us, it's like we feel that now the product is ready to be shown to millions of fans and millions of users, as well as merchants. So, doing the partnership with the Hawks and making sure that we do this as part of this first season. This is a long-term partnership, a 5-year partnership. So we're really certainly building through the next 5 years as a big marketing expansion. But you're right. I mean, like this last quarter of the year is important for us at Pays in terms of brand awareness, making sure people know that Pays is a secure online checkout, making things easier for consumers. And you will see more and more coming in the next year as well.
So I was not aware of that. You just mentioned 5-year relationship. Andrew, you mentioned earlier, this is only the third patch sponsor that the Hawks have had. And I think it's kind of telling in terms of the types of folks that you brought on. One was a kind of a health tech company, and at least the last year was the YMCA, I believe, right?
Yeah, no. Again, we take it real seriously from ownership on down. Our team and our brand is a community asset, and it's always about finding the right partner that has the same core values and in alignment in mission that we have. And we were so fortunate with ShareCare and what they did in the digital health space, and they've continued to stay on as a great partner. Obviously, the YMCA, which was all about access to youth sports, and they've continued to stay on as a partner. Obviously, great story there. They invented the game of basketball, was at a YMCA. But now you take Pays and what they're trying to do in their mission, and this is really it makes so much sense as Serge alluded to earlier. Atlanta has been known as Transaction Alley with all the fintech companies here. But in addition to that, the opportunity I think we've gotten really good at is the connection with our B2B partners, that cross-pollination of partners that we're going to be able to bring to Pays and bring to the partners. And it's a win-win across the board. This is truly 1, and 1 equaling 5, 6, or 7. So that's where we start getting excited about what the future can be here with us and everything that's happening in Atlanta as well.
I hadn't even connected the dots on that with the YMCA and the actual invention of the game of basketball. That's pretty phenomenal. So this is, like I said, this is going to be a continual thing of merging of my interests. As I watched the Hawks this year, sitting down here in Atlanta and seeing that Pays logo on the jerseys. Anything else you guys can add? Obviously, Pays.com is the best place. Atlanta Hawks, I'm sure everybody knows where to find you, Andrew. Anything else to add?
Well, I mean, for me, I mean, what's important is that now that you're going to see Pays on the Hawks jersey, I mean, we're really showing the fans and the fintech community that checkout can have the real same qualities you see on the court. So it's speed, it's teamwork, it's reliability, trust, And that's the future we're building. So we're super excited about this partnership with the Hawks.
Well, you got the synergies really worked out there. That's great.
Yeah, and I just to couple that, we always endeavor to do business with people who we believe in and enjoy. I just got to shout out Serge and his team. From the minute we sat down, this was collaborative, and the best partnerships are collaborative in working together. So it's great that they're on our patch. It's great that they're the official online checkout partner and digital wallet of the Atlanta Hawks and State Farm Arena. But much more than that, this is a true partnership. This is about how can we play a role in building this brand and how they're going to play a role in really elevating our fan experience for not just our fans in the arena, but outside the arena. So again, we couldn't be more excited, appreciative, and thankful to go on this journey, hopefully beyond just the next 5 years with Serge and his team at Pays.
And also, it sounds like watch the space for more collaboration in terms of the way that works beyond even the fan store and things like that.
Yes.
Andrew Salzman, Chief Commercial Officer of the Atlanta Hawks and also President of Business Enterprise, Serge Elkiner, General Manager of Pays. Thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate the update.
Thanks so much,
Glenn.
So I mentioned during the interview a few of the other companies that have patch agreements with NBA teams in kind of the fintech space. A few others I noticed. It looks like the only one that's new this year is the Pays relationship with the Atlanta Hawks, but the Philadelphia Sixers work with Crypto.com. The Spurs have a crypto wallet called Ledger.com on their jersey, and Sezzle. I mean, again, this is why they do it, because you get the visibility out there. I'm familiar with the company Sezzle, but I learned more about it by taking a closer look. They're on the Minnesota Timberwolves jersey. They are a buy now, pay later company. I did not realize they are a certified B Corp, so they're a social benefit company, which. Frankly, I don't usually associate buy now, pay later with social responsibility, but it's interesting that they've taken that angle. So I'm very curious to see, depending on how you want to define things, a third of the NBA, maybe more, actually have fintech and payments oriented logos on their jerseys, which obviously says to me that they're seeing some interesting capture of mind share by going down this path from a visibility and promotional standpoint, which take that as you will. I find it to be kind of an interesting data point. As I said, Pregaming, and this is Pregaming because it was still NBA Media Day where this all came out. And the Pregaming continues before we go on to some pretty significant events on the conference schedule over the course of the next month or so. One of my favorites is always Venture Tech down in suburban Dallas in Frisco, Texas. My friends Jenny Jackson and Nick Evans were kind enough to join again and kind of give a preview of what we'll be seeing down in Frisco in the near future. I can't believe a year's passed already, but we're back to the cycle of Venture Tech coming up in Frisco, Texas again in just only about 5 weeks from now in early November. And we've got Jenny Jackson, the Alliance Manager for Kina Strategic Services, and Nick Evans, the President and CEO of the Circle Collective, to talk about what's in store for us coming up in a couple of weeks. Thanks for taking the time to talk.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn.
So, Nick, I just saw you. You gave me a little bit of a heads up out at Finovate a couple of weeks ago. I mean, you've got the launch party, and then you've got kind of I don't know what else to call it, the main stage event. And maybe talk a little bit. I know you've kind of tweaked the formats just a little bit, the numbers of each. Every year, you're just trying to get the right balance. What are people expecting this year? What's the outline? I know the first day is the launch party, right, Jenny?
Yep, day one is launch party, and we've got 11 this year for the launch party. We had really strong candidates in both, but a lot of times we'll dump some down from the main stage to the launch party if they're really, really early stage. And this year, all of our main stage people were strong and later stage, so there was nobody we could bump down. So we're sticking with 11 launch party this year.
But I've seen that there's a lot of great new companies at the relatively early stages that are coming up. I also noticed a couple names on your main stage that are kind of graduating quickly from that early stage, which is awfully cool too.
And it also depends, Glenn, on what's going on out in the world. So, AI is obviously all the rage, and every company has to incorporate AI somehow, or they are. And then stablecoin is coming at us very quickly. And so those, it just depends on what's going on in the technology space as far as product and services go, that really kind of dictates how we lay out our schedule or our agenda. We're putting in all the main stage on or up on Tuesday, and all the launch party are going up on Monday afternoon. So it just depends. Every year we try to mix it up a little. and keep people on their toes, so to speak.
And remind me again, it's how long each company has on stage? Is it different for the two different portions?
Yeah, it's 8 minutes for the launch party. And it's 10 for the main stage.
And then there's Q&A afterwards? Is it as well?
Yeah, launch party, we have a group Q&A. And then they have individual Q&A for the main stage. And they get 10 minutes plus 5 minutes for Q&A.
Okay.
We've got to give you the microphone for some period of time there, Glenn.
I was going to say, I'm already kind of, I see the timer going already. So, and then it's entirely audience vote, correct? In both cases.
We call it the launch party, and the reason they get a shorter amount of time on stage is that we believe we're helping launch them out into the industry, the credit union industry, and they're early stage. They are really early. In some cases, they're looking for their first pilot or POCs or their first few customers. And so we originally called it launch party because we were trying to pick companies that were just coming out of accelerators or incubators. And so that's how early they are. And then the main stage, they get a little longer time because they're more mature, both company-wise and probably founder-wise, in that they can probably stand up there a little while longer and talk about their companies. And they can also, put up with the one-on-one questioning a little more effectively than maybe a super startup or super seed stage company might. So we just kind of take a look every year and see, what we think the maturity level is of the pool of candidates. And we had a wonderful pool for the main stage this year. I think it was 75, right, Jenny? Or 80?
Yeah, it was close to 80. It was a lot.
But at the same time, Glenn, we always have to sort out the repeat offenders, the people that are trying to get up there for a second time or a third time, and we don't usually allow that.
I was going to say, you pretty much, and that was one of the things I was going to say was I saw that Goodbye is on your main stage, and my first thought was, wait a second, and I had a very vivid image in my head of them wearing the iconic money lay that people get when they win. And then I went back and looked, and then you guys just kind of let them bask in the glory of that at the Nacuso conference, and they actually won there, and now they're following up on that victory at VentureTech, right? So you really don't do repeats for the most part on the main stage. It's kind of one and done.
We've had maybe 2 that have repeated on the stage, and that's because their product, either they had a brand new product, and we're still a really early company, or they pivoted. But generally speaking, nobody gets up there twice. You've got one shot.
To be determined whether the money lay shows up. The money lay actually started at Nacuso, Glenn. That's theirs.
Oh,
that's
it's theirs and you took it. It was vice versa.
Right. Well, in the past, Nacuso has sponsored our winner, so they bring the money lay with them. But I don't know. That's not the case this year. And so whether we carry on that tradition or not is to be determined. So maybe we'll make that a surprise piece of all this.
I had it backwards. The other thing that people have kind of come to know VentureTech for, will there be pickleball again?
Oh, absolutely. That's a must. And I tell people everywhere I can, Glenn, that we started that tradition. Now, a lot of the conferences have pickleball today. I saw it at Money 2020 last year because that's indoor, and I'm sure it'll be there again. And there's others that have duplicated that effort, but pickleball started at VentureTech. So we can take pride in the fact that we've started many traditions in the industry through the years. This is year 8, by the way, of VentureTech. Hard to believe.
I was about to ask. I mean, going back to your origins, it was like in a conference room of one of the QSOs, correct? Or
Alchemy. Yep.
Alchemy
headquarters. Yep.
Yeah, the first 2 years were at Alchemy headquarters. Year 3 was combined with. Year 3 was probably COVID.
I was going to say, you had a couple of years you had to work through that.
And year 4 was combined with Nacuso in Las Vegas. We piggybacked on the Nacuso, and then after that we switched to the Omni Frisco, and the rest is history. So this is the last year at the Omni Frisco, and we're pretty pumped up. Well, the conference has gotten larger, and so we've had to.
Bursting at the seams. I mean, one of the cool things about the Omni Frisco, for people that don't know, is it's right adjacent to the Dallas Cowboys practice facility. In fact, the pickleball competitions have taken place both indoors and outdoors on the artificial turf, the prescription turf that the team uses, right?
Yeah, yep. This year, this is the first time that VentureTech has ever conflicted with a home Dallas game.
That should be fun.
And obviously that's at AT&T Stadium, so that's not at the, in the Omni, but we know that area gets very busy for home football games, and it's actually a Monday night game. So some of our sponsors are hosting a party for the Monday night football game, Cowboys and Cardinals. So we're pumped about that as well, because all of our attendees get to watch somewhere free and probably eat and have beverages for free as well, based on the sponsorship opportunities. So, and then the pickleball will be outside again on the Ford Field outdoor stadium grass, and so we're excited about that.
And as a ref, it gives Nick and the other players an excuse to complain about how the ball is bouncing if it doesn't go exactly where they expect it to.
Well, Jenny, I'm going to wear shorter shorts then, just because you said that.
Good gosh. No, please, please. I apologize.
Yeah, I knew it was a Cowboys home game. I didn't realize it was a Monday night home game. That's going to be interesting. And I think I heard it here first. So we're leaving the Frisco location, but next year Venture Tech will be at AT&T Stadium. Is that what I heard?
No.
Not quite that big yet.
Not quite getting that far yet. Okay. Oh well. Okay. Well, we'll wait and see where it's going to be next year.
Right.
We've kind of buried the lead on something too. I mean, the two sponsors, kind of marquee sponsors of Venture Tech are the Circle Collective and CUNA Strategic Services. Circle Collective, you just closed Nick, a $360 million fund. Is that correct? That's your second fund?
Yeah, meaning closed means we're not accepting any new investors. So we're actively investing in transformative technologies across the industry, and we'll probably do that for 3 or 4 years based on the money we've raised. Which, you're right, Glenn. Circle. This is kind of ironic, but Circle has raised $360 million.
You mentioned that to me, Finovate, and I hadn't thought of it until you said it, and I kind of was impressed and groaned at the same time.
And actually, that was an accident. It wasn't on purpose, and we had to close the fund. If it was up to me, we'd still be fundraising, and going for the big 400. But we had to close the fund because we actually had an exit. The company exited, and we couldn't keep raising money and accepting more credit unions into the fund while we're paying out on an exit. So it kind of got wonky there with timing, but we did what we did, and so now we're moving forward. And so,
that's historically, I didn't realize that's an interesting kind of inside baseball piece of the rules. Is that announceable? Which exit? Is that something you can talk about?
No, it's announced. Amount. The company's called Amount, and it was purchased by FIS. So.
Oh, okay. And because they were already an investment in that second fund, you can't be, working both sides of the spigot. I got you. That's interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, back to, the purpose of venture tech and the technology companies that we're showcasing. I mean, Jenny and I can both speak to the fact that our companies have benefited greatly from this event and founding this event, and how it speaks to our mission. We're investing in transformative technology. And we have found a lot of companies all the way back to 2018 with Eltropy and Posh, and 2019 with Illuma, and the list goes on. And Jenny can speak to the fact of how CUNA Strategic Services has found companies to benefit their mission as well through this event. And so we're going to, this event benefits not only our companies, but also the entire industry.
Yeah, to Nick's point, I mean, when we first started, there was a little bit of focus on investment, and we moved a bit away from that, not away from investment, but focusing on new technology, how we can get credit unions to engage with the new technology, either through piloting, purchasing, and in some cases investing individually. And then it grew, and we weren't seeing a lot of the investing in the beginning. And then, of course, Nick and Circle came along and have, as we've seen, they've really grown the whole investment portfolio for the credit unions, particularly for some that can't afford to do it themselves and make a difference. But starting with these early companies, it allows, particularly the launch party, it allows credit unions to become involved early with companies that are still nimble and still willing to kind of change the direction or alter the direction to fit the credit unions, their focus and what their needs are, which is different when you've got a lot of those late stage companies. And also a focus this year, which we've tried to focus on, sometimes it takes a couple years, is really getting those small credit unions to engage, because they are going to need to use these fintech too. And I think they feel like it's more of an industry for the $1 billion and the large credit unions, but really through venture tech as well, when we're getting these early stage companies, they can create a product or a version of their product that is easy to utilize and consume for smaller credit unions. So I think that's really important too, as we're seeing a lot of the mergers, is to find financial technology fintechs that can help credit unions for all asset sizes.
So that's a really good. Well, first off, it's an interesting reminder that I kind of forgot until I was doing some preparation. This conference predates the founding of the Circle Fund. I mean, you started even before then. It was Viridian Credit Union, right? That was originally the other co-sponsor.
We started
Right,
with sponsors, but
if you look back to 2018 and how we put all this together, and who was involved, it's the who's who in the industry. But our mission, our goal at that time was, we were unified in our goal. We wanted to bring technology that was investable to the market and provide credit unions a chance to see that technology early on. So, and that goal still exists today. We're trying to showcase early stage technology that's going to impact our industry.
Now, interesting point. You say investable. It just occurs to me, any investment that Circle makes by definition has to be into a QSO.
That's correct.
Companies on stage, many are QSOs, some aren't, but the assumption is if they wind up getting traction here, they become a QSO, because if they're investable by a credit union, they're going to have that distinction, right?
Yeah, I would switch it around and say many are not yet. That's the way I would say it. And many times at venture tech, they're learning what the word QSO even means for the first time. And so there are plenty of people there that can educate them on what a QSO is and the why behind a QSO. And we don't have a problem with that conversation. If they want to come into our industry, Glenn, they're going to accept money from a credit union or another QSO. They have to be a QSO. And so, they pony up, they understand what it means, and they learn what it means, and they don't have a problem with it. And
I was going to say, I mean, all they have to do is see a $360 million, balance that's ready to be invested. I think they can kind of get with the program pretty quick.
Or see a partner like Jenny and what she's doing and at CSS. And, if Jenny can help them get traction and help them get into credit unions, they're eventually going to get approached and say, we would like to invest in you by somebody, whether it be Circle, by another credit union, things like that. So we're both exposing them to the word QSO in a lot of different ways, and it's just not that tough of a conversation.
That's a good point too, Jenny. So CUNA Strategic Services is not making direct investments, but by bringing these to the attention of credit unions, you're potentially fostering investment. Is that the right way of saying it?
Yeah, our goal is primarily to vet and find the best fintech credit union solutions for credit unions. So yeah, we don't invest. If I have a company that comes to me either through venture tech, they'll see Circle, but that'll come to us to get into the credit union industry and they're still looking for investment, I generally will send them over to the Circle team to have a look at them. And vice versa. If they have somebody that they're not necessarily going to invest in, but they think is a good fit for the industry, just not investable at that point in time, they'll often send them over to us to potentially work with them and get them to the point where they are ready for an investment.
I don't have the dates in front of me, November 3rd through 5th. Is that what we're talking about here in Frisco?
Yep, that's correct.
And if people want to find out more, I believe the website is myventuretech.com. Right?
That's correct. You bet.
And okay, so registration is open, and I believe the companies are already listed for the main stage event on the website. The launch party, as I recall, is not yet announced. I believe it's going to be announced in another week or so.
We have not announced the names of the companies yet for the launch party, but we do have them.
Interesting.
If you want a little bit of a sneak peek, I'm happy to share the ones that we
Why don't
made
you?
it.
I like scoops. Let's do that.
Drum roll, please. Let's announce it right here. You heard it here first on Glenn Savardi's podcast.
Here we go. We have Aries Fraud Solutions, Onsetto, Charm, AI Vantage, Treduality, Spare, Incluya, Investrio, Fideo, Clocks AI, and Ceres AI.
Okay,
Glenn, I would bet you've only heard of half of those or less.
I believe I've heard of 3. Yeah, 3 or 4. And I noticed I was counting. Only 3 of them have AI in the name too. So that's I, I was going to ask, and maybe one of these falls in this category too, but Nick, you mentioned stablecoin before. Are there any stablecoin solutions that are on stage to your knowledge? I mean, I thought it was interesting that there were not any stablecoin solutions at Finovate, but given the nature of that presentation criteria, given the newness of the Genius Act, it may be a little bit early to really come with a fully formed product, but for the purposes of the way venture tech is set up to really get there early, is there anything out there from a stablecoin standpoint?
There are two on the main stage, Glenn, Stable Core and Metallicus.
I know Metallicus. Stable Core, again, with the name, I was hearing the core rather than the stable when I thought about it.
Yeah, unless I do have that right, Jenny, I believe, right?
You do.
Yeah.
Well, great. I can't wait to see you guys in November. Again, myventuretech.com if people want to find out more and hopefully to register as well.
This is the most economical conference you can attend in the industry, price-wise, and rooms are going fast.
And we also have 3 scholarships remaining for small credit unions under 250 million.
That's right. You mentioned that there's definitely been a push to try to bring more representation of the small credit union space. I'll be happy to see that as well. Jenny Jackson, Nick Evans, always a pleasure. See you in about 5 weeks.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, Glenn.
So there you have it. And as luck would have it, I actually, for the first time, played pickleball just this past weekend while visiting a friend's place, and had a veteran of the space really giving me advice and making sure I didn't tear my Achilles in the process. I don't think I'll be competing in the pickleball competition out at Venture Tech, but it is always a popular event, and I'm looking forward to watching that one as well. We probably still have more to come in terms of interviews. I'm sure we will have more as we talk to some of the most intriguing companies at Venture Tech at Money 2020 coming up. And don't be surprised if we still see a few more of the companies from Finovate show up on our upcoming episodes. But as I say, it's pre-gaming, it's post-gaming, all your gaming needs here at the Big Cast. My name is Glenn Sarvati. You can track me down via my firm, 154 Advisors. LinkedIn is probably the best way these days. We also stay active on Blue Sky to the extent that we can. You can find out more about the Best Innovation Group on those channels as well, along with our Grand Poobah, John Best. And again, big-fintech.com, the best place to do all of that. You can find all of our past episodes on the media tab. We'll post links to some of those prior episodes as well. In our conversation, including the recent ones around Finovate, which I thought were interesting. As I said, we've got those really interesting links to this quantum computing announcement that came out just last week that I think will be interesting to people. So check that out. And because it's never a dull moment around here, there's still plenty of things. Just this morning saw the news that Lisa Cook is going to be allowed to stay on the Federal Reserve Board at least until January, which is nice. Let's see what else is going on. The ADP job numbers did not look pretty, and when we don't have government data to reinforce that, assuming that nothing happens with the government shutdown and the jobs data is not released on Friday, this seems to be the best data point we're going to get, which may drive some additional behavior around interest rates, which will feed back to our bingo card, which we always welcome you to take a look at and see all the different events that we kind of predicted would happen over the course of the year and see how they've been faring so far. We've also had a great conversation just this last week with Tony Hernandez, the CEO of the Defense Credit Union Council, with some really interesting stuff going on there. I'll just whet your appetite and mention that you'll be hearing a decent amount of that next week. It was a long, far-reaching conversation. We may wind up turning it into a 2-part episode. We'll see. But look forward to that next week. You'll always find new content on the Big Cast, usually on Tuesday afternoons, wherever you get your podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, Apple, wherever. Like, subscribe, you'll get an alert, or just check back at the website and you'll see the new pieces posted there as well. Again, my name is Glenn Sarvati, and again, thanks so much for listening.
Check back each week for the latest from the Big Cast. Or better yet, we hope you'll consider subscribing for free via Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you have questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. Tweet us at Big Fintech, email info@big-fintech.com, or visit us at big-fintech.com and click on the Media tab, where you can post a comment or check out our archive of hundreds of past episodes. See you next week.